Hello everyone, this is HTOMario, and I'm going to be showing you a Terran against Pronounce game. And this game is going to be against Kyo. He's a fellow Grandmaster. We're going to watch the majority of this game on faster times 2, because it does take a little bit for the action to get started. This is a Terran Mech game. I am a Mech player 90% of the time, and if you ever want to watch me live, feel free to watch twitchtv.com/HTOMario. So what we're going to show you here is how to handle with multi-pronged harass. We're going to show you how to do with Tempest, Templar. It's a really exciting game. One of the things you'll notice is that I do like to wall off at supply depots. I do not like to put my barracks at the front. I like to put my barracks close to my mineral line so I can use SCVs to help it if it gets harassed. I can keep the production kind of closer in my base just in case there's an early attack. I do like to scout with my first SCV. Who makes the supply depot. This allows me to see if, how many gases are you going, are your units in your base. And one thing to remember is if they go 2 gas, it's most likely cheese. If they go 1 gas, it's most likely an expansion or a 4-gate all-in. And the all-in is kind of easy to tell since they chrono boost the warp gate, So, just kind of going around in space, making sure that all the pylons are in space, you want 2 pylons by the time the cybernetics core goes down, and then a 3rd shortly after. It's the same thing with your supply depots. Once you drop your 3rd supply depot, look at his base. Is he hiding a pylon? Yes or no? We're going to go for a reactor before any other unit because we scout. We see that he's going for the Stalker, not the Zealot. If he's going for the Zealot, we try to get a unit out faster like the Reaper and then go for the reactor. Takes my gas, not concerned. Gonna send some Marines over to kill it. Just rally them over while I finish my wall kind of with a bunker. Just in case he does some heavy aggression, because he's denied my scouting. We don't know if the 4-gate's gonna fall from here. Get a factory up immediately after the reactor. Get 1 widow line, and we're gonna be placing it in the mineral line. This is going to be to help prevent any oracle harass. Remind you, it does stop 1 oracle, it does not stop 2, because 1 can use the revelation ability to be able to scout for it. So we do have to scout out space to see if we need more widow lines to, defend it. Marines in the bunker, get a starport after we get our command center. After we get the command center starport, we do want another gas. He's getting expansion. Kind of scan it right on time. We see what he's going. We see very few units, and we see a Nexus, so he could be doing some really greedy play. And that's just something that we can notice from the scan. Usually we want to see quite a few more units. We also see sentries, so we know that he's not really hiding too much tech, because it takes a lot of gas to afford that with the sentries. Excuse me. A little bit sick, so my throat is kind of clogged up. We're moving out with a siege tank and a few Marines, and then we're going to transition into Raven, Hellion production with throwing our expansion out. The reason why we do this is because we know he doesn't have many units. Sentries are not good against siege tanks. He had a Stalker. I saw no Zealot. Stalkers are not good against siege tanks as well, unless they have the flank upgrade or severely outnumber them. Kind of deciding, okay, at this stage, you know what? I don't want to commit to this attack. I'm going to retreat. Widowmine gets a free kill. Awesome. I'm back at my base. I can kind of see the observer, but I don't want to engage it quite yet. And the stalkers are here, so I know, what, he was there before my army retreated. There's a proxy pylon. Hunter Seeker missile the observer. So we're just going to go ahead and try to find this proxy pylon. Like, keep this widow mine over here to go ahead and defend. You want something with slowdown again. You want to get +1 attack relatively early or +1 armor. It depends. I didn't see a lot of zealots, so the armor is not as important. So we're going to go ahead and get the attack. You want 2 factories when your expansion goes down, and you want the 4 gas relatively quick so you can add on more factories, more upgrades, more ravens. We want to go up to 2 ravens, throw down the 3rd command center, and then 3 factories once the 3rd command center is down. We have a pretty decent sized army. We got 1 medevac to kind of do a drop if I feel like it's necessary or desired. They can heal the Marines. The medevacs are pretty useful. Also aid in helping retreat the siege tank. They are rather slow. So starting in engineering bay, it's getting to the stage. I know there are observers out on the field. There could be a war prism, so we're gonna need some turrets relatively soon. Maybe some Dark Templar timing. Up to 4 factories. That's all we're going to do until we're most likely establish our 4th base, so that we can keep producing command centers, producing high-tech units. We don't want to search for minerals too thin. Eventually the goal is to get up to 5, but not right now. So I scout 1 Colossus, and I think, you know what, I can take this army. Unfortunately for me, another Colossus appears right here. Don't know that quite yet. Send in some aliens. I use my barracks to make more tech labs, and if you stick to 4 factories, you can drop the Ghost Academy kind of early. I come up here, see 2 Colossi, and I think, whoa, that's too much. But I am going to send the Ravens up here so I can try to Hunter-Seeker missile his mineral line and keep him closer in his base, because if there's a huge threat about, you know, the auto turrets, then yeah, he doesn't really want to move out. Let's see, so you want a total of 2 tech labs, 2 reactors, up to 3 tech labs, 2 reactors for your factories. You always want 1 or 2 more tech labs than a reactor. Thors are kind of an important thing. Siege tanks are an important thing. You want to get siege tanks until you've established your 3rd base. Then they start losing their effectiveness because he'll just engage your whole army into a tiny line, and siege tanks are not as useful as a brood war. I mean, they're the best defensive unit when it's army versus army, but when it's split up armies, you know, siege tanks, they're cost efficient, but only to a certain stage to where they just get overwhelmed and they don't really do a lot of damage. And usually at this stage of the game, it involves a lot of immortals. Could be air switches, you know. So we're gonna get the servos upgrade for the Hellbats so they can transform, because we have a lot of Hellbats. Remember, you can make Hellbats once the armory is down, but you can't get Hellions. So I prefer to get the Hellbat. Now, he did put up this Nexus because we tried to Hunter-Seeker 2 probes before, just like now. He keeps a close eye on it, he moves them out of the way. But it still prevents the mining. Earlier in the game, we didn't get to see it, but the probes were all the way down here because of this harass. We want to gas once again pretty fast. Gas is probably the most important resource for a Zergan Terran player. Meching Terran, that is. Swap this out. You know, we want another tech lab. I want to be able to produce some Vikings, maybe some more medevacs. You know, now that the Hellbats really benefit from the medevacs, get our Ravens out of there just in case he starts to actually go for some air tech. Probably could have stayed now that I think about it, you know, after the game was over, but at the time I felt like this was the best idea. You know, just in case there's some DT. And there is a Dark Templar transition, and a High Templar, and a Stargate tech, so he's playing extremely greedy. Let's see here, where'd that War Prism go? Here it is. So now that our 3rd base is established, we've got the gas going. You know, the gas takes. You need a lot of them for Thors, you need a lot of them for upgrades, and a lot of them for Vikings. So we're gonna go ahead and start transitioning into it once we get our 5th and 6th. We also want to start getting into expansion relatively soon, but to know that, we want to know for safe, you know, to kind of do a little bit of hell drop, bad drop, kind of get you to pull back your units, pull back your mineral line. And I did pull back some mineral line units tonight. It's about even on the worker count. I only got about 3 kills, but as you can tell, I do have the majority of the income. A little bit of harass here, some Dark Templar as well. I just use reinforcements to go ahead and handle that, you know. Sometimes you just gotta think, can I take this with my reinforcements? Do I pull my army back? And I decided, you know, I'm not going to pull my army back. I'm going to expand at the same time, deal with the harass, and go ahead and move up here. Move a little bit back because I was thinking, you know what, that might be too much for me, but you know, I didn't account for all the Dark Templar, but I was like, you know, no, I'm going to go ahead and engage, which cost me a little bit of time because he was able to get into proper positioning. We do see an immortal. You know, Nexus Cannon in just a moment, 3 Colossi, drop a PDD to help stop the Stalkers from being effective. It actually also stops the Nexus shot, so that's cool. Siege tanks in position. And, you know, I let kind of my army slip away from me here to, you know, where the Colossus get free shots without being fired upon by the siege tanks. A little bit of a miss micro on my part, but we are doing a lot of damage to his Stalker line. You know, he doesn't have a lot of units, and it's probably about time I retreated my Raven. So we were able to take out most of his units. His Colossus are pretty weak. He needs a lot of fodder for the Colossi, so I know he's not going to move out. Our expansion's down, and at this stage, you know, we're making a planetary fortress. Usually I have my 3rd one as well. My 3rd planetary fortress. You do want 1 missile turret there. You saw the Dark Templar will want 1 missile turret here. Usually you actually want 2 missile turrets in the mineral line because they try to snipe them relatively fast. A little bit of a wall because we know the War Prism drops are possible. And the Ghost Academy. And we're going to go ahead and get the +2 armor. We saw a lot of Zealots. Radar Tower over here spots the War Prism and the Zealot, so definitely worth the intel because we don't want him disrupting our mineral line at all. That's the biggest thing we don't want to do. We want to know about every army in advance, so I'm going to go ahead and drop another one. And this allows us to be more cost efficient, allows us to not be harassed as much, and really you don't want to be in a situation where you're always trying to play catch up with your mobility. You want to be there at the right time to engage in the most cost efficient way with any army, but it's even more important for mech because you're so slow. And because of the mobility issue is another reason why I'm no longer producing tanks at this stage in the game. It's mostly Vikings, Ravens, Hellions, and Thor. It's because the Hellions and the Viking can get there exceptionally fast. The reason why there's not a watchtower down here is because we have these missile turrets. He actually tried to kind of poke in a little bit, or he's going to in a second, but it's going to be shut down pretty easily because we have this little turret ring. We're going to send this SUV out. I want to know when he gets to space. Usually Protoss try to play greedy after they establish the space and get this one, and then quickly after get this one because they think, you know what, he's not going to attack me because I have Templar or Archons. But we just want to make sure. So this time I see this space, and here's a little poke, but he gets pulled back. We see the space, and this helps me decide, you know what, I could probably put some more pressure on him. He's playing again once really greedy. He lost a lot of fodder for his Colossi. We have a lot of Hellbats. We have a few Vikings. We still have a Raven, Thor. We have a pretty decent sized army. We're getting Ghost Energy because we want to transition into Ghosts. And we're going to go ahead and drop another expansion while we do move out. Usually the golden rule is you drop an expansion when you move out. And this allows you to really stop it from being harassed when it's going up. Not that it does, because he does send the Warp Prism out. But we scan this army, we decide, you know what, he's got Storm, he's got Tempest, he's got Colossi. We don't want him to storm these Hellbats, because then they're going to be weaker. So we're just going to send in 2 Hellbats over here, 2 Hellions over here, then we're going to go ahead and retreat. And they do get a few kills. Excuse me. Kind of not really worth it, but it does draw his army out of position, while at the same time there's a drop over here with this Warp Prism being initial for Zealot, so we went all the way around. And there's a Warp Prism in over here. So the way you effectively deal with this is cut your army in half and split up in 2 different directions, which is exactly what I'm doing. Get rid of the Warp Prisms. That's always a huge deal. If you know there are no Warp Prisms on the field, you have to worry about this stuff less. He wasn't able to snap the watchtower, so I still have great vision over what's going on. And he's moving kind of across the map now, sending a few more Zealots ahead to try to do even more harass. But he kind of just walked straight into my army. It's a shame. We're still on these small production structures. We don't actually need quite more yet. One of the things that I've recently been toying with is trying to stay on a smaller production count until the late stage of the game. Usually in the mid game I drop a larger count, but now I've been focusing on really positioning, being effective. Kind of it's depending. I don't want too many mineral dumps, even though I have a huge mineral pile up. I can save those minerals for other things. He's going to drop 2 pylons and drop a base over here and some cannons. It's going to make it so he can protect this base and harass mine and send in Warp Prisms. And this is why he's sending in the turret, so that he can get a Warp Prism right in between here and harass my base. So I do scout it, and in this case I know that he's not quite, I just saw his army over here, he's not going to be able to attack me, so I go ahead and clean this up with my Hellions. It's great to have them that fast, because usually by the time they're warping in, you can be there. So we're going to drop more starports. We're going to drop some tech labs so we can get Banshees or Ravens or battle cruisers. You want to have the option, the possibility. I don't need this many reactors right now. Ravens are really good against Tempest, so they drop the PDD. He gets the sensor tower. When I saw this attack was coming, I immediately told this SUV, you know what, you're making a sensor tower after that. And this is so that, I once again still have vision. Retreats with this Warp Prism. Still kind of moving around. He's kind of drawing back my army, but I have to make sure that I'm established, dropping 4 command centers, orbital commands, so that I can get an even better income with a lower SCV count, and 4 more 4 more factories. Because now I'm at this big optimum. Okay, I have every base established. I need to be able to start getting ready to establish one of these bases. And this is why him establishing this is smart, is because if he keeps his base mined out, this is safer in the late game for him to defend than here. So this is really smart on his part. He has a safe base here. More harass over here. I noticed that, I'm just going to go ahead and attack into his base. change my Thor mode, drop a PDD here, drop another one here. He's got some great storms that do land on a lot of the Vikings, but he's got to back off because, you know, this is a really expensive, really strong army, and I use my reinforcements to go ahead and handle this drop. I decided, you know what, I don't want to follow him all the way up the ramp. It's kind of like clumping me up a little bit. So I'm going to go attack this base. I remember that it was weak from the initial attack, so it would take less to take it down. Back over here, the strop is getting handled with. You know, we're finally starting to overwhelm it with the reinforcements. We're building some extra SUVs from here. I guess we haven't changed it to orbitals. Yeah, we're getting Raven energy. And we're throwing in one Banshee, kind of, he's not getting as many Stalkers anymore. And his Vikings are going to be busy on top of his Colossi, his Tempests are going to be busy on our Vikings, his Colossi is going to be busy on our Thor. You know, he's not going to have too many Stalkers in his army, and then for Immortals, the Banshees are really efficient, because, you know, he's not going to be attacking them. I tried to go up here, but my army gets cornered. I knew I wasn't going to escape, but really slow, so... I pretty much knew at this stage they were going to die. I knew about 2 minutes back. But I sent my tanks over here, siege them up, try to draw me even further into the base. You know. And we do get a few kills here with these tanks. We've got +3 armor, +1 attack, producing a lot of Vikings, starting to produce even more Thors, and he continues to produce Tempest and Immortal. Kind of a really good counter to what I'm doing. They kind of soft counter each other, and it's pretty even until the Templar kick in, and the Templar, they do a lot of damage. So we throw in some Ravens to kind of counter the Tempest shots. This makes our Vikings more cost efficient. Have a lot of Hellions in here. We're starting 3 orbitals and a planetary fortress with a turret, because this is not a planetary fortress, so I want to protect these structures a little better. I don't want them coming down here and harassing in between the bases. You know, we got 3 orbitals kind of blocking off this side, 2 Stalkers up here attacking. He's sending a few units up there. And now he's finally starting to get this base, because these minerals, you know, there's a lot more there than here, and he can save these until later from long distance mining or something. There's no need to waste the 400 minerals when, you know, one patch only has like 400 minerals. You don't get a lot of mining out of that. It's better later in the stage of the game if you can save it. So 5 Thors in production, 4 Vikings, air upgrades. The ground army already does a lot of damage. Thors do a huge amount of damage, so we don't really need to get too many upgrades for them. You know, air attack wise, it's more important that we get, ground attack wise, it's more important that we get Viking attacks, since he's really committing to so many Tempests, and he's working toward that death ball. And he's got a lot of armor on these. Once again, another drop here with Dark Templar, and I try to take this base while he's down here attacking. I'm trying to keep him distracted, but he does see it, and he does shut it down without me being able to cancel it. Warp Prism up here. Tried to send some Stalkers up here. They got shut down pretty hard. So and here we see that he's moving up. He's trying to kill the Watchtower, and I don't know if I noticed this army yet, but I do scan to make sure that his army was there, because it was there earlier. So I tried to go ahead and group up a little bit into position. I'm not changing into Hellbat mode, because there's not a huge ground army. There's just a very tiny ground army. There's no Zealot, so I can use these Hellions to try to snipe the Templar. So we're going to zoom in here, drop some PDD, try to snipe the Templar. We got quite a few of them, but not enough. You know, there's some good storms, but I'm able to overwhelm his army with the sheer amount of numbers I have. You know, the Thor's taking out the Immortals pretty handedly, and then the Tempest forced to run away. At this stage, I'm getting some really cost-efficient trades, barely losing anything for just a few units. Fusion Court going down. I was thinking about transitioning to battlecruisers now that I really harmed this Tempest count. I was going to wait a little bit longer, but here's another drop, and I decided, you know, this is a nice drop, but I think, once again, I can handle it with reinforcements, getting some more Ravens, getting some more Hellions, getting some more Thors. I'm going to go through the middle, and I'm going to see if he took this base, because I don't want him to have this base and this base. I want another attack point. It doesn't bother me if there is one, because I have planetary fortresses defending this base, but if he's got so much defense up here, I doubt he has this much here, so we go ahead and move in and try to take this out. And he is forced to pull off the line, and while he does that, you know, his economy really suffers. Stalkers moving into Thor is a really bad idea. Putting up a few more missile turrets, forcing his army once again to run away. He's kind of falling down on the storm count. He doesn't have a big bank. I'm almost 100 supply ahead. So he doesn't have this base, he doesn't have this base. He's only on 2 mining bases compared to my... it's more like 2 mining bases for me as well, but I do have a little bit of extra mineral patches here. And he decides to leave the game because, you know, he's got a few Tempests, he's got a few Stalkers. He can't stop me from coming over here and killing this base. I have a lot of Thors and a lot of Vikings, and I have a lot of, you know, income. Compared to him, I have 1780. There's nothing you can do about me taking another one of these bases. Since I got the early upgrade, you know, these point defense drones are here for another minute or two. They'll help if there's another battle on trying to get this up, and I can drop even more. You know, he really doesn't have too much to where he can recover from this stage. And a lot of things you have to remember from TvP Mech is that you got to split up your army, you got to be efficient, you got to get to your bases fast, you got to have excellent scouting. TvP Mech is all about scouting and all about playing reactionary. You cannot force the opponent to counter you unless you get a good change, a good tech switch, like you're far ahead and then boom, all of a sudden mass battlecruiser. But you can't quite do that until the later stages of the game, where you really have to make sure, is he all enemy? I have to defend properly. What's he going? Tempest? I need Vikings. Is he going High Templar? I need Ghosts. Is he going Colossi? I need Siege Tanks, or Thor, Hellbat, Viking. Is he going, you know, there's just a lot of things to do. You don't see me getting a lot of Widow Mines this game. They are exceptional units, great at defense, and I could have definitely used them. You know, at this stage of the game, I felt like the Hellbats and Hellions were more effective. You know, sometimes I use a lot of Widow Mines, sometimes I use none. So it's really dependent, but it takes a lot of gas to use a Widow Mine. So you have to be severely behind and knowing they lack detection. Or, you know, just lack detection in general. If they lack detection, Widow Mines are excellent. If they have a lot of detection, they're not that great, and cannons do stop them pretty well. So, alright, so that's the game, and I hope you enjoy. Remember, one other time, if you ever want to watch my stream, you know, Heart of the Swarm, I am doing a giveaway. You just got to follow me and watch on March 12th. We're going to go run through the campaign, and we're going to give away 1 or 2 Heart of the Swarm games to viewers randomly picked by my wife in the chat. So, thank you for watching, and you have a good day.